Rufus boy, let me love boy, what you know. Rufus boy, let me love boy, what you know. Rufus boy, let me love boy, what you know. Rufus boy, let me love.
Hi everyone, it is Renee Amanda from Book Girl Magic, and today I'm just here to talk to you about a book that I'm currently reading called The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Now guys, this book is so intense. I've literally put this book off for an entire year because I just felt like it was going to do a lot to me emotionally, and I'm absolutely correct in the way that I thought I would feel. It's such a powerful book, and in thinking, it's something that I definitely would want my kids to read before they go off to college, something that I want my little cousins who are getting ready to go off to college or are in high school, because I just feel like it's that impactful that they need to read this book and really understand what the new Jim Crow is. I think as young Black men and women, it's important for them to understand the importance of police brutality, how the laws and the system are set up to work against them. It's just, there's so much to it. And for me, my story starting up, I was a young girl that grew up in the suburbs. I played a mostly white sport of softball. So growing up, I didn't really get to learn about Black history and, the history of my people, of Black people. So I felt like Black History Month was the perfect time for me to take on this task and really explore, what more about the history of Black people. So in reading The New Jim Crow, it was an awesome book by Michelle Alexander. I learned a lot, and I had a lot of questions. It's about mass incarceration, and, since slavery ended, just trying to suppress Black people and, keep that order of white people being higher and better and being better off than Black people. So, the war on drugs was created, the great crack epidemic, harsher laws and sentencing being put on crack, because that's, Black people were mostly found with crack, so they put harsher laws and punishments on those drugs rather than cocaine, which is a drug that seems to be used by mostly white people. So it's kind of like a way just to constantly get after Black people for one thing or another. And, it's amazing to me because I didn't realize, even when you're out of the system, how much these, breaking these federal laws and having this on your record can affect you for the rest of your life. You try to get a job, you have to check off that box that you're a criminal, you can't vote, you can't serve on a jury. So there's just so many things. Even after jail, your sentencing and your crime continues to follow you for years to come and maybe never even go away. So it's almost like, what's the word that they used? The voting tax, or the literacy test that Black people had to take in order to vote. It's kind of the same thing. Like, they're just not allowed to vote simply because they have this on their record. It could be something as little as marijuana on their record, and it ruins the rest of their lives. So I think it's an important book for everyone to read, but I especially will be handing this down to my own son, my own daughter. I'll be handing them off to my little cousins, just so that they're fully aware of the choices that they make when they grow up, and especially the older ones that are getting ready to be in high school and go off to college. I think they need to realize that even if they're good, the people that they surround themselves around could endanger them and affect the rest of their lives. So to make wise choices is kind of the biggest thing that I'd like to pass on to them. And I also was amazed to hear some of the things about President Bill Clinton, because growing up, now when Bill Clinton was president or elected president, I was in elementary school and middle school. So I was extremely young, and I really didn't have an understanding for politics. I knew he was president, but as far as the things that he did, I really didn't understand or even take interest in it. But I found that growing up, I did hear a lot of Black people say how much they love Bill Clinton as a president and how great he was. But in listening to or reading this book, and the things that he did, like, he adopted a lot of the laws that Ronald Reagan put in place, and, even attended the execution of a prisoner. I just couldn't understand why Black people really loved Bill Clinton the way that they did, because to me, he just further was harming them or putting things in place to secure the fact that they'd never be able to be great and do things with their lives even after being in prison. And it's kind of sad to see this and just realize that you live in a world that is constantly trying to hold you back as a person. And I think that's what's most upsetting to me. Again, like I said, I think for me, I grew up in the suburbs and playing a white sport. So for me to know that the people that were surrounding me my entire life, to know that they might possibly have these thoughts about me as a person or think less of me as a person rather than an equal, I think that is the most disturbing and hurtful thing for me, because I'd like to think that everybody that I've surrounded around me my entire life has nothing but the best interest and wants to see the best from me. So it's a struggle. It's an extreme struggle, the way the system's set up. Even if you're innocent, they kind of trick you in a way to pleading guilty just so that you'll take a deal and get less time, even if you haven't committed the crime. And there was one example in the book where a single mom was arrested because she was just either around a crime that had happened or she was around people. Either way, she had to get back to her kids. She's a single mom. So after a week in jail, she just took a plea deal and pled guilty, and so she could get back to her kids. Well, come to find out, the people that she was spending time around, or the people that got jailed with her rather, were eventually the crime, it was dropped. The charges were dropped, and all of those people got to walk off scot-free without having anything on their record. Meanwhile, because she pled guilty to a crime she didn't do, she now has that on her record for the rest of her life. So now privileges like, public housing and assistance and the things that she needed to help take care of her children, she's no longer able to get because she has this federal charge on her record now. So it's just kind of, disappointing, because I think the system puts a lot of people's backs up against the wall where they feel like they don't have a choice but to plead guilty even for something that they didn't do. Take examples of Kalief Browder's story and watching the Netflix documentary 13th as well. Those were great documentaries that really put me onto Michelle Alexander and made me wanted to read her book, The New Jim Crow. So, this book definitely has me feeling a lot of emotions. It's saddening. It makes you angry. I've watched family members, for just the tiniest of crimes, sit in jail for 3 years waiting on a court date. Like, this just can't be real. Life has to, it's not fair. That's the only way that I can put it. And when you've watched your loved ones go through things like that, it really makes you wonder. But anywho, even though it's an emotional book, it has a lot of life lessons. It can teach you some great things. I'm hoping that everybody reads this book because it's just so powerful and it's so great. I think it definitely should be read by everyone, just so that, you have a better understanding of what's going on around you and the laws and the things that you vote for and the people that it affects. So, that's my mini thoughts and reviews so far on The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. I thank you guys for listening to me. I know it's a little more of a serious vlog or mini review that I give, but I think this book is such an important one and definitely needs to be talked about. So go check it out. Let me know your thoughts. If you've already read it, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.